Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session here with the Georgia Department of Education Community for Music Technology. All right, we're back. You can see I've got a multi microphone setup today, and I am really excited to dive in to this series of topics. This is a topic that I have had to learn so much about because it's nothing that I was trained for in a music education program. But this time we're going to move away from just the music side of things and begin to look at the audio engineering side of things. Now, I am a serious gearhead and I love dealing with new gear and new plugins and new microphones and all that kind of stuff. But there are a few topics that come into mind when I start thinking about audio engineering that I really want to urge you to experiment with and not be afraid of. I think all too often we get really caught up in the tech, the music side of things, and like how to program a good chord into the computer and all that kind of stuff. But what we shy away from are those audio engineering skills that help students move from just a basic computer music producer to like a radio ready EDM artist or rap artist or whatever their goal is to be. So I want to talk about a few concepts today that are really going to apply to those categories, and hopefully you'll gain some new understanding for what to do within that. So here on this side, I have my dynamic microphone. It's a Shure SM7B. That's the one I'm speaking to you from right now. And attached to my best friend, Logic, is the other microphone, and you can actually see it jamming out there on Audio One. That is actually it's a student built microphone, but it would be a copy of kind of an AKG C414 with a few less features than the 414 has, but the same type sound that the 414 has. So it is a condenser mic. It is all hooked up and routed to Logic. And the first thing that I really want to focus on is the idea of gain staging, or at least gain as a concept. And I think this is something that that is really scary for some of us to talk to, because we're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what gain really is, and I just don't know. Well, gain is always perceived as volume. That's the way we perceive it. But gain and volume are two different things. And it's important for us to remember that so that we can help the students understand the difference in this gain and volume dynamic. So, gain in this instance is going to be controlled on my audio interface. Now, gain staging will continue past this point as the sound leaves one plugin and enters the next plugin. It's important to know at what level it is, but for right now, we're just going to the basics, and we're talking about getting our gain from the microphone into the DAW here, and that's going through our audio interface. So whenever you plug a microphone in to a preamp on an audio interface, you have a knob that is associated with that specific preamp that will give you gain. I like to express that understanding to students by talking about microphone sensitivity. And so I kind of want to give you a demonstration that volume and gain are separate constructs. So what I'm going to do is actually mute the microphone that I've been talking on and switch over to the one that's in Logic. Now you're hearing me monitor via this microphone. And it is the condenser microphone that is attached here to audio number 1. So at this point, my gain knob is currently at about halfway. and my volume is pretty reasonable for what it is. You'll notice that the green meter here is peaking right at the bottom of my little volume bubble. My volume fader is currently set to 0, and at the bottom of that bubble you'll see that I'm peaking at somewhere around -18. So somewhere between -18 and -12 is a really good recording level for us to use when we are recording digital audio into our DAW. And that's kind of where we want to live, is in that peaking between peaking around -12, hanging around -18. You don't want to get too loud, because if you get too loud, you're going to start doing what we call clipping, and that is actually expanding the audio past what the computer can sample, and you begin to lose the tops and bottoms of the waveforms. So that's something that we want to avoid. So right now, at a normal talking volume, I've got the microphone gained such that meter is getting me to about that -12 point, and that would be ideal for what we're trying to record. Now, let me give you some examples of other things. I'm going to turn the sensitivity of my microphone all the way up. Now, I think you will notice that what you just heard was cars traveling by outside. There was a very soft sounding car in my office, but a car that just drove off outside. I'm having to speak very softly now in order to get the microphone not to peak out and be absolutely blowing anyone's ears out. I hope it didn't get too loud already. Okay, what you're hearing right now is my microphone on its maximum sensitivity. Now, I'm distancing myself away from the microphone and talking in a very soft voice. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to whisper, and I believe that you can hear me just fine, even though all I'm doing is whispering. In this setting, the microphone is so sensitive that you're probably hearing my small refrigerator over here. You're probably hearing the fan on my computer. You may even hear a car drive by outside my window. Now I've turned the sensitivity of the microphone back down, and I'm able to talk at a more normal volume for you to be able to hear me. And I can stay at a distance that's roughly thumb to pinky width away from the microphone. So at maximum sensitivity, I can keep a consistent volume in the microphone as long as I'm talking softer and further away. Now we're going to try taking all the volume away from, or all the gain, away from the microphone. And I'm going to do a different test. Ah! Now, in case you couldn't tell, that was about as loud as I could possibly scream. And I still did not get a meter to jump out of the yellow that was on this setting. So as loud as I could possibly be with the gain turned down, or the sensitivity level of the microphone turned down, I was able to scream and get the same volume as the sensitivity turned all the way up and me whispering or talking in a super soft voice. So there are two different dynamics there that are coming into play. One of them is volume, and that's how you perceived it, which was the same across all three of what I just did. And the other was the idea that I had to change the gain to control for how loud I'm talking. And this is something that is extremely important to communicate to students. As a matter of fact, I think it is probably one of the most important concepts when students learn about using microphones, is making sure they understand gain structure for the microphone. A lot of times students want to turn the microphone up as loud as they can and get just right to the edge of what the computer can control. And that's really not the best principle to function on, because you don't leave yourself any headroom or any room to actually record and manipulate anything with on the computer. So it's something that you've got to pay careful attention to make sure that you're recording information in at the right volume so that it can be manipulated appropriately later. So headroom is that space that you leave on the audio meter that you can use later once you start doing things like compressing, EQing, distorting, reverbing, all those different things, leaving yourself some room to play so that you can dance around with those other concepts. So to close us out of this session, I've gone back to talking to my normal microphone now. I want to record a little bit of audio into this project, quote unquote project, that I've built right here, and just be able to get a good audio window for you to see. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. So right there, I have left you with a recording that is me doing a little bit of Dr. Seuss, and this is about the right amount. If I zoom in just a little bit, you can see it a bit more. The right amount of audio that I want to see. In between words, I want to see dead lines where I don't have that loud recording. And as I speak words, I can see the transients spike where the beginning of my audio is. So as I play that, one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. You're able to hear clearly where my vocal pattern is. And then for kicks and giggles, let's just put that with the rest of this audio just for fun, and you'll hear the entire project now with some fun. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. And if you're the wise audio teacher, you just said, but I can't hear that very well. Well, in the next few lessons, we're going to show you how to change that, how to adapt that, things that you can add to that. There are a million ways in Logic to be able to turn things up in volume, but there are very few ways to bring something that clips. Well, there's actually no way to bring something that's recorded at clipping and too loud back down into a usable dynamic. So if you see these waveforms bounce all the way outside of your region window, like these spikes go up above the top of your region, then you know you clipped for sure, and that should be something that your students are re-recording. So I hope this helped you understand gain and what gain is and how it applies to a microphone. And in the next couple lessons, we're going to talk about how to manipulate this so that we can begin to make the most of the audio that we do have and help students make songs that are more radio ready in nature. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next session.